Welcome everyone to the 205th Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Victoria de Angelis and Torchio. This is the first reading of my Måneskin series. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline and it is so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those new and returning, I take notes on a Synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs aspects and if birth times available house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us twice a week and to also keep up with this Måneskin series. And let's get right into this one. Starting off the sun, we have Victoria's sun in Taurus and Ethan's sun in Libra. These are both ruled by the planet Venus. It's an easy relationship and they're a socially popular couple. I mean, not really surprisingly so. They both avoid conflict as much as possible and Victoria's stubbornness annoys Ethan. Ethan values social life more than Victoria, which could make me think he values probably more so because obviously being a rock band, probably the sort of socialization that can bring with it and all that sort of like the fun side rather than maybe the sort of work side of things. Also like with social media as well, maybe he values being on social media a bit more than Victoria. They both appreciate aesthetics but have different tastes. I haven't looked at them too specific because I feel like all of Måneskin, they do have quite a similar aesthetic and everything. Maybe they do like have their own different style outside of the band though. Victoria's sun opposite Ethan's Mercury. It's a great intellectual relationship and misunderstandings occur. Victoria finds Ethan too analytical and it's not good long term. Not the greatest, is it? Ethan is understanding of Victoria and Ethan may feel misunderstood. Victoria may feel threatened and insignificant and they communicate well besides differing views. Ethan sees Victoria as too self-centered and Victoria sees Ethan as too rational. They need to have a level of emotional detachment for marriage, which I always include these ones, especially in these like singer, music industry, acting ones, because marriage contract. Obviously these two would be somewhat contracted, whether in one way or another, probably to some sort of like, you know, not music industry, record label, some sort of label they would be contracted to. So for that, I included they would need to have a level of emotional detachment to probably just be in the band together. Victoria's sun, Trine Ethan's Mars. They are supportive of each other and there's healthy competitiveness. Neither feels blocked by the other and Victoria admires Ethan's drive and courage. They can deal with challenges together and they encourage the other's goals and visions. I would hope so. Like, they seem to have the same goal and vision. Ethan expresses his desire for Victoria frequently. Interesting. I don't know if any of them in Måneskin are like in relationships together of any kind. Like I know Damiano, he's with Dove, which we covered on this channel before. But I don't know if these two are together or they had something together at some point, but that's them. They express themselves in a straightforward manner and they both can rely on each other when they are demotivated. Victoria's sun, Trine Ethan's Neptune. Misunderstandings, we're seeing again, and there's delusion and deception. They both glamorize each other and attraction is based on appearance. I'm curious how these two got into the band, because from these two's dynamic by itself, from what we're seeing so far, it doesn't seem like they were friends and joined the band. Like it seems like they're kind of together because they have to be. And this whole glamorization and attraction being based on appearance and everything is a bit, you know, interesting. Ethan promises more than gives and Victoria believes Ethan is a soulmate. Interesting. I mean, it could be in a platonic way because, you know, having a bandmate is like a very unique sort of person in your life, someone you would be very close to in a way. So I imagine in that way. Ethan eventually disappoints Victoria and they both need to be clear about expectations. Yeah, it feels like they kind of like came into this like not really knowing each other. Does that make sense? Like hopefully we'll see a bit more to the dynamic, but so far I'm curious to see with their meeting if we'll see anything on that, because it just seems like they kind of just showed up to the band one day. Like Ethan's sun, Trine Victoria's Uranus. They start as friends, glad to have some clarification immediately. Eton inspires Victoria and frequent changes occur, which isn't really surprising, is it? They get each other's humor and it's a relationship of experimentation. Not really surprisingly. So I feel like, you know, they do have a consistent sound and everything, but I feel like, you know, rock band in music, you kind of have to be experimental naturally. There's a strong attraction and they encourage the other to be themselves. Eton thinks of Victoria as inspiring and exciting, and Victoria tries to keep the relationship interesting. Eton maybe feel threatened by Victoria's need for freedom, and they both need to encourage the other's independence. Which is interesting in a band. This whole thing of encouraging the other's independence, because I don't feel like any of them have dabbled in solo music as far as I know. That's there though. Eton's sun is sextile Victoria's Pluto. There's a strong connection and they're more powerful together, which is nice. Like they're both able to like sort of, you know, unite together and everything, create nice music. They comfortably share secrets and they're drawn to each other in a magnetic way. Now for the intermission. This video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry readings on my Etsy store, both basic and detailed. The basic one is very simple to understand. It's not overwhelming at all. It's pretty good for those that are beginners to astrology, just getting the head around astrology, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed one is just like what I do on my channel, just a lot of insight and interpretation on your chart. So if you are interested in that and everything else, astrology and tarot related, readings and gifts, then definitely check out my Etsy store. Links are below. I'm always releasing new things there, so it would be greatly appreciated if you go have a look. You can even just favorite the store just to show your support for free. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for moon. We have Victoria's moon in Aquarius and Eton's moon in Aquarius as well. They both value their independence and individuality, and they both have the tendency to be rebellious. I feel like very consistent with their image. You know, they both value being socially involved, which I think we did see how Eton is the more sort of social one. So I seem like they can both obviously value that. Eton is just a bit more, you know, in that whole thing. Neither prioritizes domestic life, which I feel like is kind of good for a band relationship, because we get some, it was mostly like acting co-workers we get where one prioritizes domestic life, the other one doesn't, and there seems to be a clash with that. I think, yeah, in this sort of dynamic, great. Don't prioritize domestic life. They are good friends and they are both out of touch with feelings and emotions. They're appreciative of the other if they share the same views, and they can clash if they share different views. So far, I mean, we did say that they can have misunderstandings, but it seems to be from a place of like they like similar things, just different font, if that makes sense. The relationship lacks warmth. Victoria's moon is square Eton's Saturn. Victoria feels emotionally insecure and there's a possibility of an awkward relationship. It wouldn't shock me if in the beginning it was. Like, I know we did see like they start as friends and everything. They're friends anyway now, or colleagues, whatever. But to me, like, it seems like they kind of like were set up in the band together. It doesn't seem like, you know, they were friends before and these two were like the originators of the band or anything like that. It seems like with these two, they kind of were like invited to the band separately and that's how they met, is the impression I'm getting from the reading. So obviously there could very well be like awkwardness in the beginning. Victoria feels judged by Eton and Eton sees Victoria as needy and oversensitive. Eton's moon is square Victoria's Jupiter. There's a tendency to be extreme and excessive and they meet in an optimistic way. I'm sure they did, it just seems to be a bit awkward. Poor judgment can lead to trouble and they are too optimistic as a couple. I wonder if that's why expectations, because we did say how they need to be clear about expectations. I wonder if maybe they were like too overachieving on something in that way, and that's why like the expectations are kind of like crucial to sort of establish maybe. There's a failing to keep promises and they both feel free with their emotions. I mean, with emotions wise, I guess this would be like feelings in terms of like how they express themselves through music. We didn't really see, like what we saw is the relationship lacks that emotional warmth and everything. We did see how Victoria may be a bit more sensitive. But I feel like this would be a bit more like relating to the music they create together and everything. It's a relationship about determining boundaries, and they both will learn better judgment. Ethan may become possessive of Victoria. I mean, we did see how he feels threatened by her need for freedom. So I wonder if maybe there is a bit of, I guess, like conflict when it comes to maybe she wants to become more independent or independent from the band in some kind of way that Ethan is sensing. That's where my brain's going with that. Ethan's moon is square Victoria's Saturn. This is a repeated aspect, just inverted. So everything from before is further emphasized, but also Ethan feels emotionally insecure. We did see, obviously, this on Victoria's end. I wonder if maybe their lack of emotions is why they lack emotions. Does that make sense? I mean, very clear, I think, but like probably the lack of emotional relationship is just because both of them are insecure. But it is kind of interesting. I guess it's kind of like how you get like very stereotypically with like men, they're emotionally insecure in some way, especially if expressing it. So they will take it out in like more aggressive ways. I wonder if these two kind of work well together, is because they are emotionally insecure, but they can kind of take it out through the music and don't truly have to like kind of confront their feelings in that way. I mean, you do a bit, but you kind of can, especially with like rock music, you know, you can kind of just take it out on the instrument, so to speak. So that's there. Ethan feels judged by Victoria, and Victoria sees Ethan as needy and oversensitive. Ethan's moon conjunct Victoria's Uranus. There's an instant attraction, and Victoria is dominant. I mean, it seems like more in a more independent way than anything else. There's an exciting meeting, and unpredictability makes long-term difficult. Friends play a part in the meeting. Yeah, I feel like it was in that sort of way. I don't, like, it seems like I'm either seeing, like, I'm seeing some situation of, like, you know, maybe, like, they have a mutual friend kind of bringing them together to make music or something like that. And, or, you know, even in any other context, like a mutual friend just, like, bringing them together. It's sort of like, you know how you have, like, not a shared best friend necessarily, but, like, the same mutual friend. That mutual friend takes the risk to invite, you know, two people together, and it can be a bit awkward, you know, because you share that friendship with the other person, you don't know the new person. That's what I'm feeling like this is, because we did see there is a possibility of that awkwardness and everything. That's what I'm seeing. If it is in the music context, just considering the context of these two, I feel like it could be, but obviously it could be in any other situation. They share an unusual lifestyle, and Ethan creates an accepting atmosphere for Victoria. Victoria brings excitement to Ethan, which we did see how she keeps the relationship interesting. Ethan sees Victoria as unreliable. I mean, in terms of like, if she is kind of hinting to make independent music, and, you know, I feel like, yeah, Ethan potentially would see that as unreliable, like, you know, sort of being threatened by her need for freedom. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Victoria's Mercury in Aries and Ethan's Mercury in Scorpio. These are both ruled by the planet Mars in traditional astrology. Ethan finds Victoria egotistical. I mean, yeah, we've seen she's a bit more dominant. You know, Ethan kind of feels threatened by a need for freedom. They learn from each other, and Victoria can be too brash for Ethan. Ethan can be a buzzkill for Victoria, and Victoria gets impatient with Ethan. Ethan's Mercury opposite Victoria's Jupiter. They have different philosophical views, and they frequently interrupt each other. Ethan sees Victoria as too flippant. He's kind of questioning her commitment, it seems like. Like, this whole thing of him being possessive, like not really liking her need for freedom and everything, and this whole thing of her being egotistical, like, it's very interesting. There's a mutual lack of understanding, and Victoria sees Ethan as too rational. Ethan's Mercury square Victoria's Neptune. They think creatively around each other, I would hope so, and they both need to be clearer with communication. Ethan misunderstands Victoria. If it is related to like her sort of like commitment, loyalty to the band, definitely need to be clear with communication, because that's a bit of an awkward misunderstanding to have. Ethan sees Victoria as abstract, and Victoria sees Ethan as practical and logical. We're seeing again, she seems to, like, not view him boring, but like practical, logical, rational and everything, and she seems to be with the more interesting, exciting one. Ethan's trust for Victoria fades, and Victoria feels misunderstood by Ethan. Victoria feels limited by Ethan. This is really interesting. It's like he feels like threatened. I keep saying that. He seems to be like scared of her leaving though, because we did see he can become possessive, and it's like, why though? We haven't really seen exactly why he would feel that way. We're not seeing a lot on Victoria's end, and the fact that we're seeing like there's misunderstandings here and she feels limited by him, it's like she acts in a certain way that Ethan interprets as like potentially being too flippant, gonna leave the band. But it's just Victoria, I don't know, being too interesting or something. So now it's time for Venus. We have Victoria's Venus in Aries and Ethan's Venus in Scorpio. These are, again, both ruled by the planet Mars in astrology. They're an unusual couple and it's emotionally difficult. I think we've established, it's like the energy-wise to me. It is kind of like two, like, you know, I guess stereotypically like manly type people, like not struggling to express their emotions, so they take it out for something. That's the sort of energy these two have to me emotionally anyway. They just take it out for their music and instruments, because I believe like Ethan's the drum player and Victoria, she does the bass. So that's, you know, it's not like singing as such. Like you have something, especially drums, you have literally something to take out your anger, emotions on. It's short term. We have not been seeing great things in terms of longevity, have we? Which to me makes me think potentially like these two wouldn't necessarily like be super in contact if the band finishes and everything. It's difficult to have a harmonious relationship, and it's a passionate relationship. I feel like it seems like they would work well together. There is obviously that misunderstanding in terms of loyalty, but it seems like they can work well together. There's nothing too crazy bad or anything like conflicting as such. Ethan wants commitment and consistency from Victoria. We're seeing again with him. Ethan's Venus opposite Victoria's Jupiter. It's a promising relationship. I think it is in a way, and they are generous with each other. They can have a problem with promising more than they can give. Are we seeing this again, this over-promising thing? What is with that? I feel like maybe Victoria, like, maybe she impulsively makes some promises that she doesn't fulfill, and that's why Ethan doesn't have a lot of confidence in her. They share an optimistic life together. Ethan's Venus opposite Victoria's Saturn. Ethan feels he's below Victoria. I mean, it's not shocking. Like, this sort of, because it seems to be a very strong thing with Ethan feeling like insecure with Victoria, like questioning her loyalty. It could very well be from a place of like insecurity and everything, and feeling like Victoria is better than him. It's karmic, and Victoria feels Ethan's withdrawal. Interesting. I'm glad it's somewhat reciprocated, that it's not just one person fearing things. There's a difficult meeting. Yeah, I feel like there was something a bit awkward about this meeting. Like, it genuinely. Victoria can become critical and demanding of Ethan, and toxic cycles easily occur. It wouldn't shock me. Like, there is the potential, like, especially with like the loyalty thing and like Ethan being like possessive. It's long term. I feel like, because we did see karmic, I think it's very well like more karmic long term and everything, rather than this like short term thing, especially since the band has been together for like a few years now, which, you know, I guess in band years could be very well a long time. Ethan sees Victoria as controlling and unsympathetic. Again, that whole sort of egotistical thing, right? Victoria sees Ethan as vain and childish, and they may be critical of each other due to jealousy. I feel like from Ethan, there would be a sense of jealousy and everything. You could also see this on Victoria's end, because there's a lot of how she sees him as like rational, practical and everything. I wonder, and we did see he's the more social one, which kind of makes me think, because obviously in today's day and age, like social media is a big part of the like business side of things. I wonder if Ethan is a bit more maybe business savvy with things and like practical and rational in that way. And maybe that is where Victoria might be jealous of him in that way. Ethan's Venus square Victoria's Uranus. They feel they cannot rely on each other, and Victoria resents Ethan's desire for commitment. Because I feel they're still together. This is so embarrassing for the bands. I'm pretty sure the band's still together and everything, gosh. But yeah, it's really weird. This like, I wonder if we'll see this in the other readings, like this conflicting with loyalty, because it's really strong here. They are separated at times and it's an emotional roller coaster. It's not a stable relationship and there's instant attraction. So now we're on to Mars. We have Victoria's Mars in Taurus and Ethan's Mars in Virgo. These are both earth signs. It's a practical relationship and Ethan is too experimental for Victoria. Victoria gets irritated with Ethan's lack of patience. I wonder if he's just a bit more like type A. Because the whole practical rational thing, and we're seeing like him questioning like Victoria's loyalty, maybe it comes from a place he's just a bit more type A and like, you know, really, I guess, experimental, analytical in that way maybe. And obviously with that comes lack of patience and everything. They tend to be critical of each other. Victoria's Mars conjunct Ethan's Saturn. Victoria sees Ethan as controlling and Victoria respects Ethan's wisdom. He has a sense of wisdom with him that I don't feel like Victoria hates. She just gets a bit annoyed with it because it probably, like, we're not seeing a lot of that sort of qualities from her. So it doesn't come naturally to her. She doesn't necessarily care as much sort of thing. So she probably gets a bit more irritated with it. Victoria tries to win Ethan's respect and they both need to be considerate. It's potential to be a good learning experience. I really hope so. Like, seriously, I feel like from this, surely. And being in the band together. Ethan's Mars, Trine Victoria's Jupiter. They feel they can do anything together and Victoria is okay with Ethan asserting himself. Yeah, I feel like in the more business sense, because we did say he's the more social one, so I wonder if maybe Victoria is okay, particularly with more social media things, maybe if she takes a backseat and like Ethan is the one, you know, holding the reins more. There is healthy competitiveness and they have fun together. They enjoy trying new things together. I mean, we did see it's a experimental relationship, or Ethan's a bit more experimental. He's a bit more experimental, which would make sense. They're in a band, they kind of have to be. They've shared interest in sports and travel, and Victoria helps Ethan get out of his comfort zone. I assume in a way of like loosening him up, trying to make him more fun. Ethan feels more energized around Victoria and it's possibly a reckless relationship. They're a lucky couple. I mean, in a way, yeah. Ethan's Mars, Trine Victoria Saturn. Victoria is the anchor. I wouldn't have really expected that, but you know, that is there. She could be like in terms of trying to, you know, keep things fun and interesting and everything, which to me, like, because we did see how she tries to keep the relationship interesting. That is kind of an indicator she's trying to keep the relationship like alive in a way. They both can achieve a lot together and Ethan finds Victoria's predictability attractive. It took me a second to process that. Predictability in what way? Because, you know, in terms of, like, I guess the commitment and loyalty, Ethan definitely does not think that way, it seems like. Ethan feels he can depend on Victoria, and Victoria appreciates Ethan's individuality. Which, again, like, from Victoria's end, we did see how she seems to try, like, when he's respects him and everything. Ethan's Mars, square Victoria's Pluto. There are power struggles. I guess in a way, sure, because like Ethan seems to be a bit more like holding down fort in terms of like business, practical sides of the business. But Victoria seems to have a bit more natural of like a dominant, assertive personality. External influences challenge them. I'm sure there would be. Like, you know, they're a very popular band. I'm sure something would be an issue. Ethan's blunt nature triggers Victoria's inner issues and they dig into each other's psyche. They have a brutal transformation and they need to deal with their own issues instead of fighting each other. Yeah, because especially if like Ethan, like, because it was very consistent from him. He seems to have a bit of distrust of Victoria. And potentially that could be coming from an insecure place. So I feel like with him, you know, dealing with his own insecurities rather than kind of like not trusting Victoria and like taking out on her in a way. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'll be very curious to see what you guys have to say about these two. I feel like a very interesting start to this Måneskin series. I'm very curious, especially the whole like commitment thing, because that was kind of a theme in the One Direction readings we did. So I wonder if we'll see anything else in the other readings in terms of like commitment, loyalty and everything. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts if you guys follow these two specifically or anything like that, and share your thoughts below. And if you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings twice a week. And besides that, give this video a like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!